This is part 2 of a 3-part video. If you did not see part 1, go find it on my channel because you're not going to understand what's going on here and I'm not going to recap it for you. Don't be lazy. Peace. So when we last left off, Leatherface had just killed Dante's future wife, and then for some reason he goes into the sunflower field and does this. Who's that for? Why? Like, yeah, I get it. It was a really cool scene in the trailer, but it doesn't make sense here. Like, he killed everybody in the area, so who's he doing that for? He's not stalking anybody. So you're saying he just like got rid of everybody and just went to the sunflower field and did? No, it just doesn't make sense. I don't have to fucking even ask questions. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. It looked cool, but it's stupid. Fuck this movie.
Look out. I think Moto likes you.
I like 'em big. I like 'em chunky. I like 'em big.
So Leatherface heads into town to commit moida, sponsored by Ominous Storm Clouds. Meanwhile, the investors are having themselves a full-on cookout. Just look at that spicy meat.
Give your meat a good old rub. That's it. Nice and hot. Hot and spicy meat. Yeah, boy.
I still don't completely understand what Dante, Melody, and the whole group is doing here. You know, they're like influencers, but they're also like a barbecue business or chain or whatever, and they're investing into a town. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. So Melody's gearing up to leave. Dante tosses her the keys to the Tesla, and the cowboy man snatches them. And he then proceeds to take the keys to the bus as well. This, of course, starts an argument between the main characters and the cowboy. Dante goes something like, well, you can't take our keys or whatever, and the cowboy's like, yes, I can, because you killed that old lady. And he's like, no, we didn't. She was trespassing in our property. And he's like, well, you show me a deed to that property, and I will give you back your keys. I will be in my shop. So Dante and Melody go back into the bus to look for that deed, and to their surprise, they don't fucking have it. And I really want to highlight to their surprise because the audience could see this coming a mile ago. Naturally, the two argue, and then Lila proposes the dumbest solution in the entire movie.
Some deeds took longer than others to process.
Please tell me we didn't kick her out of her own house.
We didn't, I'm telling you. It must be back at the office.
Hey, if that's true, then it can't be in the house, right? If that's true, then it can't be in the house, right?
If that's true, then it can't be in the house, right? What?
What the hell does that even mean? If that's true, it can't be in the house. What can't be in the house? The lady's deed to her own home? Dante and Melody's deed? I don't understand what the fuck you're talking about. And what the fuck are you even suggesting too? That they go inside and look for something that they don't want to find? Or that they go on a goose chase for something that may not exist? So if I'm to get this straight, Lila is saying that if it's true that Dante and Melody do have a deed to the house, then there shouldn't be a deed to the house belonging to the old lady inside the house, right? Or Dante and Melody's deed would be in the house? That doesn't make sense though, so she must be referring to the old lady's deed. But what would be the point of going to look for it? Wouldn't finding that deed, if it is real, just incriminate Dante and Melody? And if there isn't a deed, why would they go and waste time looking for it? It doesn't exist. There's just no logical reason for them to be in that house. And so, of course, Dante and Melody decide to go look in the old lady's house. Lila wants to go, but Melody tells her to stay put. So we then cut back to the gas station attendant who, after hearing that disturbing call on the CB radio, makes a phone call. To who, you may ask? Are you ready for it? Because here it comes, baby. Owen Fieri. Owen Fieri. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's high time they finally shoe in that excuse to get you to watch this movie. So when she gets the call, Owen Ferrari is gutting a pig. Now I want to take a step back and focus on why this is dumb.
What happened was true.
So one of the reasons I love the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is because it's one of those prime examples of how horror can be used to reflect a certain reality in our lives. And Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw is like the punk rock example of this. If you look at it closely, the film is making a commentary on the meat industry. Early on in the film, you have this character explain to the main characters how slaughterhouses go down, you know, how they kill the cattle and stuff like that. Only to later on have the main characters be killed in that same fashion, you know, where it's like a blunt strike to the head to be hung on a meat hook and, you know, to be, you know, cut up into pieces with a chainsaw. This is all just to reflect the treatment that cows have and animals in general have in the meat industry. And that's only one of the elements that makes this movie so great, but it's the element that leads me to Sally. Sally is what we can call our final girl in this movie. She jumps out a couple of windows, literally a couple of windows, like twice, and she witnesses all this carnage firsthand, all this kind of slaughterhouse treatment. She's literally treated like cattle. Her and her friends are treated like cattle. You would think that after this entire experience, she would want to stray away from that type of cruelty. Cut back to 2022 and we have Owen Fiery's version of Sally, who is just gutting a pig willy-nilly and just slapping the face of the original movie's intent. Now don't get me wrong, I wouldn't have an issue with this if it was just another sequel or reboot like the Michael Bay produced one or all the other dumb ones that came after the original. But this movie is literally banking on the original success and originality. They literally got an actress to reprise the role of another person who has passed away because they were banking on that chance of attracting old fans with this, you know, sequel, reboot, cool idea, whatever, fuck you. And then all they did in the process was just shit on the original and trick people into actually watching this. Even though it doesn't have the tone, it doesn't carry the same messages, it just does nothing. There's just no consistency between this and the original, but for some reason they decided to make it their selling point. It's just copy pasting the plot of Halloween 2018, which in and of itself is not an original movie. So anyways, Owen Fiery takes the call and they have this shot in the car later where, you know, she looks at the picture of the cast of the original and, oh, she's the girl from the original. It's like supposed to be a reveal, except the trailers were telling us that the whole time and they were trying to sell this to us like I just fucking mentioned. Anyways, she gets the call and she gears up all Sarah Connor style and she takes off.
I came here for two things, to suck some hard candy and suck some dicks.
Meanwhile, Melody and Dante start looking for the deed in the old lady's house. The two of them split up because of course. Dante takes the kitchen and Melody takes the upstairs bedrooms. After digging for a bit, Melody finally stumbles upon the old lady's deed.
Which makes you a murderer, don't it?
And that's when she hears somebody else inside the house. And then Dante gets pwned.
Come here, boy! You picked the wrong house, fool!
Hey! Big Smoke! It's me, Carl!
Do I really need to go into why that looks like shit? Okay, number one, that door in the foreground looks like shit. It kind of looks fake, but I can't tell. I can't be sure, but it kind of looks like a fake kind of overlay or an effect. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just looks bad. And then there's the blocking in this scene. This just choreography is freaking terrible. What would motivate this character to walk backwards out of that room? They're purely doing this for some sort of cool shot, but it doesn't even work. Is it really a cool shot anyway? Anyways, Melody catches Leatherface diddling with Dante and she runs upstairs to hide, but not before showing off her weird Batman disappearing skills. Leatherface goes upstairs and they do the whole victim hiding in the closet while the killer is right outside, you know, the whole tease, like he literally opens the closet and she's right there. Nothing happens, obviously, because she's the lead, so who gives a fuck? I don't blame this movie in particular for committing this sin. I literally just blame horror movies as an entirety for doing this thing over and over again. In the meantime, it starts raining, so all the investors have to run into the bus. At this point, Melody shifted to hiding under the bed while Leatherface is literally bursting a hole in the wall. By the way, Dante's alive, just delayed response. He's up, he gets up, he walks out of the house and into the rain. This is when our cowboy spots him, sees the damage, and then heads into the house to play the hero. And then they finally reveal what Leatherface was going after in the wall. It's a chainsaw. Finally, now we can get down to what we really came here for.
Now that's a lot of damage!
So back to the house. Cowboy Man goes up the stairs. He fucking dies. His leg does a 180-degree turn in the wrong direction. So basically, you know, like when you take a stapler and, you know, you open it fully. Yeah, that's what happens, but like to his leg. It doesn't look good too. It just looks stupid as hell. Leatherface kills him and he manages to see Melody under the bed. So he kind of like leaves her the car keys. And it's like, it doesn't make sense because I mean, like Leatherface, like he's literally standing right over the guy. So he could like just see him pull out his keys and put them there for Melody who's under the bed. I'm like, aren't you gonna think that's suspicious? Why would his last impulse when dying be taking out his keys? He's obviously gonna look under the bed. Whatever. Anyways, Leatherface walks out of the room, so I guess he is blind. Meanwhile, Owen Fury drives up to where the sheriff's van crashed. She then finds the corpse of Dante's future wife, whose name we never got. And also it's really funny because in an attempt to recreate that opening shot from the original with the corpse remains in the graveyard, they do the same kind of like practical makeup effect here, but it just looks like shit. It kind of reminds me of that potato Respucia burns down in Orbit.
Hey, you dirty! You get the picture of it?
So we cut back to Melody, who finally thinks it's okay to get out from under the bed. What ensues is one of the most epic Batman-esque stealth scenes in a film I have ever seen. Behold.
NANI?! お前はもう死んでいる。
But wait, I will now rescue her through the power of editing. So in actuality, bitch got wrecked. Rest in peace. She starts crawling around under the floorboards to make an escape, and then Leatherface just dunks his chainsaw onto the floorboards. A chase ensues, it's very boring, and then when you think the movie can't get any dumber, they do the funniest shit ever. She's like crawling away and he's like chainsawing and he's literally after her ass. He's going to chainsaw her ass in half. It's the funniest thing ever. Before Leatherface can split Melody's cheeks apart, a pipe gets in the way, simultaneously giving us the greatest metaphor in this movie so far. So Lila shows up right on time to save Melody from all that doo-doo. They both run back to the bus full of investors who I keep forgetting about because they're so out of place in this damn movie. Since the cowboy man gave Melody the keys before he died, they now have a way to get out. So the bus driver starts the bus and he starts rolling around. We actually get a shot of Leatherface staring at them from a distance. Now note, he's staring at them from that fucking distance. So they're driving, right? Suddenly, just a little while later, there's a chainsaw noise and then the bus comes to a halt as if Leatherface just ran that distance to chainsaw a bus. Isn't he supposed to be like 80 years old? Do you suddenly just develop warping abilities at 80?
One of the main things is that he's aged quite a bit, you know, and it's like, how does he move differently? How does he, you know, attack differently? And I didn't think there was going to be that much of a difference because I've grown up in Texas and there's a lot of these really sturdy old farmers that are still working on the farms at 80, 85 years old. So I had no doubts that Leatherface could still have that chainsaw.
Yes, sturdy 80-year-old farmers working a farm. Not running after a moving fucking bus while holding a chainsaw. And then chainsawing a moving bus until it stops. I mean, just look at how fucking big that bus is. How on earth did you like stop it? How on earth did that not just drag him across the fucking street? Like, how good is that chainsaw even? It's been stuffed away for like 40 years? Like, I get it, there's suspension of disbelief, especially with stupid slasher movies, but geez, how stupid do they expect you to be? Also, I'd like to point out that nobody noticed that Melody smells like shit. Like, we just saw her get showered with poop, and they just walk into this bus like nothing happened, and nobody notices, nobody bats an eye, nobody like, not one comment on how she probably smells like shit. Is everybody just being polite? Like, come on, like, it would have been a funny detail to add into your movie, and clearly you're into doing comedy if you got her dumped in poop, but you just forgot about that detail 2 seconds later. No, everybody's just like partying like nothing happened, like there isn't a girl who smells like... Rain does not wash off that smell. It's impossible. Don't ask me how I know. I know. Can this movie just commit to at least one idea? If you're gonna dump a girl in poop, at least have other people think she smells like poop in the next scene. How is that a continuity error? Literally, how is that a continuity error? How did nobody think, hey, maybe we should pretend like she smells like shit? Nobody? To make a long story short, Leatherface takes out the bus driver and he boards the bus. And that's when we get that scene that everybody's been dreading this entire time. That scene that made me really pissed off when I saw the trailer for this movie.
Try anything and you're canceled, bro. Try anything and you're canceled, bro. Try anything and you're canceled, bro.
Try anything and you're canceled, bro.
Just do it! Just fucking do it!
So then Leatherface starts slashing through everyone in the bus. The scene is not bad. It's not like the worst thing in the movie, but it isn't anything impressive either, to be honest. The effects are okay. There's like a weird blend of like some practical and some like CGI stuff. I really don't like the lighting in the scene. I find the blue tones just don't work out for it. It's like too dark to tell what's happening. I don't really care. I don't want to spend much time on it because it isn't, I just don't feel any special way about it. For me, it's just passive. It might be different for other horror viewers, but for me, it's like really fucking passive. Sorry. Melody and Lila reach the back of the bus where they hide from Leatherface. Leatherface starts breaking in there. They're kind of doing like the Shining reference where he's trying to break into the bathroom. Now, if you saw part 1, which you should have, because I told you at the beginning to go watch part 1 and not to just watch this without watching part 1, you would notice that I asked you guys to remember something in the beginning of the video. In the gas station scene, Lila buys a chainsaw-themed corkscrew, which she then gifts to Melody right on the spot. And I told you guys to remember this because it was going to come back in the dumbest way ever. And well, the time is here. So Leatherface starts busting through and his hand is like, you know, reaching in to get the doorknob. This is when Melody pulls out the chainsaw-themed corkscrew out of her pocket, because apparently it's been there the entire time, and she stabs Leatherface in the hand with it. Now, do they really expect me to believe that she's been running around with this corkscrew in her pocket? Like, that thing is like, I don't know, it's like the size of a doorknob. Do you really expect me to think that she was crawling around in doo-doo under the floorboards and getting flung around and hiding under a bed, and that never caused discomfort? I'm sorry, but I've seen ladies' jeans and ladies' pockets, and they're not fitting enough to have a corkscrew. A corkscrew pokes into your legs. It causes discomfort. You would have gotten rid of that. You wouldn't have kept it in your pockets this entire time. And I really had to double check if I was wrong, I was missing something and I was remembering it wrong. I was like, oh, maybe it's like on a shelf in the bathroom or something, or maybe it was Lilo who had it. No, it is Melody who has it, who has just kept it this entire time. Like, what? Anyways, Melody and Lila escape and they start running away from the bus. And it's at this exact moment that Owen Fury shows up and she lets them into her car for safety. And it turns out she's a crazy person. Well, ain't that a damn surprise?